Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, we could really use your help. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, recently named the Too Opinionated podcast one of its top 100 podcasts. This is a monumental feat for this program. We're a father and son team out of a small town in West Virginia, have been doing this for about 5 years. There's 15 million podcasts out there. About 40,000 of those get to the point that they're listed on IMDb. Out of those 40,000 out of the 15 million, we were ranked number 82. Something that we're just immensely proud of. We're so thankful for our listeners, our watchers, our fans. Thank you so much. If you would like to help us out, and we're asking for it, please. It's easy. It's really easy. It's free. If you go to IMDb, that's imdb.com, look up Too Opinionated Podcast, and just take a look at the page. That's all you have to do. I mean, you're welcome to look at the cast, look at the episodes so you can kind of see who's been on the program. Do whatever you want. But even just bringing up the page, imdb.com, Too Opinionated Podcast, bring up the page, look at it. That helps us so much. So please, if you can do anything, we would really appreciate that. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Love to have your subscription there. It's also free. And you can also check out our website, meistercon.com, where you'll find almost 700 episodes, audio and video, available on there. There's also a terrific blog from Brett, and it'll let you know anything that we have going on in studio, if we're covering a convention, if we're going on location, anything that we have going on will be on the website, meistercon.com. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you so much. I can't express enough how appreciative we are of all of you. We never expected to do as well as we have, and that's all because of you. Thank you so much. Enjoy that interview. Bye, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I've got the director and cast from the hit movie, or the new movie this time. So welcome to all three of you. Start with you, Robert. You're directing. So Robert Vaughn. And I'll say this, Robert. We watch a lot of Christmas movies in this family.
Oh, okay.
I think you've been involved in all of them.
You know what? It's been my day job. It pays the mortgage, and I am grateful for it, you know? Yeah.
Well, we've had a rough couple of years, and you kind of need those kind of movies that end well. It's good to see happy endings once in a while.
Agreed.
Christmas movies are like comfort food.
Yep, exactly. I mean, it's they've been fun, and Jen's directed a few of them, and Charlie. Well, I haven't twisted Charlie's arm yet to be in one, and I know you love the holiday, but I don't know that you're chomping at the bit to join me for Christmas.
Well, they're really amazing how they make those Christmas movies. They're made, really quickly, and they're made really well. It's a real tribute to the filmmakers that they're able to do those things and have the quality they do.
It surprised me that a lot of times they're not made in the winter. A lot of those movies are made in the summertime.
You're so hot in those coats. You're just like,
yeah, that sounds miserable.
You'll come to check the mic, and you're like, I'm so sorry. It's like a swamp in there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Please forgive me.
Yeah.
I'll let you in on a little secret. I always blame. I don't know who's going to watch this. I always think it's easy to blame the lawyers, the business affairs people, because everything takes so long to do the deal. Your winter has ticked away,
right?
And then you're shooting them. I mean, every now and then I've shot one, without leaves on trees, but it's one of those things that it's kind of a shame because the lens becomes a lot longer, which is fine for romance. Whenever romance hijacked Christmas, but but you don't get to shoot the Canadian winter.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So Jennifer, I just finished watching Kim's Convenience.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd always heard about it, never took the time to watch it. And I was sick for a while last month and I just knocked it out. It was the best. It was the best.
Isn't it funny? Those
Oh my
actors
gosh,
are
so funny.
magnificent. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like
And the
crazy.
creator of that show, do you know, it started as a stage play up here in Canada.
No, I
There's a
didn't know
show-
that.
Yeah, In's Choi. He made a play about his life growing up as a Korean Canadian kid and became this big show. And yes, I got to do one episode as a Russian karaoke singing nail salon owner, I believe.
That was typecasting.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
happens all the time.
But it was
plays
like
that
Love
also.
Shack, right?
Love Shack, yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And I'm not a good singer, and so the good news is the worse I sang, the funnier it was. So
Oh, it was hilarious. yeah.
it worked. See, not very good.
Yeah, and Charles, I got one for you too. You know, I spend a lot of time watching TV and stuff, but this one's a good one, I think, because there's so many with you that I could go with. But when I was growing up, we had a drive-in theater like right by the house, and every weekend they would show a double feature. Would be like a Disney cartoon and then a movie, regular Disney movie, more for the adults, but still kid fare. And my favorite one, and they showed it all the time, was No Deposit, No Return. Loved it.
That's funny.
And I remember when the kids finally got old enough, I'm like, I'm going to show them this movie. They're going to love it. And they did. I mean, it still holds. It's so slapsticky, but it works. So
It's funny. I was 19 when I did that. And I don't remember all that much about it.
Yeah.
I do remember though that I got to work with the legendary David Niven in that, who, I mean, he's part of old Hollywood. And that's something I've always thought was very cool to have overlapped with that generation of guys.
Yeah. That's really cool. And it was Tim Conway, Don Knotts. I mean, that's not a terrible movie to be in anyway, whatever the movie is.
Sure.
Yeah, that's great. Well, welcome to all of you. Can't wait to talk about this time. I've been, my wife and I watched the screener you sent over, and we loved it. It's a very emotional movie, and I'm an emotional guy, but it got me choked up several times watching it. But it still had a little bit of humor in there, mixed in here and there, and I thought that made it. It was so good. It was so good. But let's start this way. Tell me a little bit about what the movie's about. What's this time about?
Well, you know what? In one word, I would say allyship.
Yeah.
ALLYSHIP. It's a father-daughter story, allegorical story, and it is about, empathy, love, tolerance, forgiveness, all of those things, but allyship. And I think it's something Jen has said it over and over. In 2024, it's sort of amazing that that we kind of need a story of allyship. But I think she's right. I think we do, and that's what it's about.
No, I love that, and that is it based? It's based on a true story, I think. Is that right?
No, it was so, and then I'll let Jen jump in. The writer Ali Jennings, who Jen had worked with in development on a project at Netflix. We're married. We have a daughter, right?
Yeah.
Who's 9 years old, and I could bring the father side of it, and then Ali brought the LGBTQ experience to it.
Right.
And so, the making of the movie, she brought a lot of touchstones from her life, and I, brought touchstones from my life, and Jen brought some, and Charles was instrumental in the development of the script. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of truth in it, but it's not a true story. Gotcha.
Yeah. So just terrific. And I know, Charles, I haven't seen you acting in a while. I know you direct a ton, and I love some of the stuff that you've worked on, but what kind of attracted you to this project? What made you come back out to act?
Well, I've known Rob for many years, decades probably, I guess. and we've just become really good friends over the years. And I pretty much did stop acting. I've mainly just been a director for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
One day when we were chatting, and Rob said, "I've got this script, and there's a part in it, and would I consider doing it?" And I was really happy to. I enjoy acting, and I haven't done it really in a long time.
Right.
So to let Rob be the director and just tell me where to stand, and and put all this together and be able to play such a fun, interesting character. I mean, the character is Red is he's a hoot. He's a very
Yeah. That's a good character.
So I enjoyed it immensely.
Charles, I have to tell you something I forgot to tell you. We had a screening in Hamilton, Canada recently in conjunction with Free Mom Hugs here in Canada. And afterwards, we had a party at a drag bar. And one of the drag queens came up to me and said, Red's all of our dad, right? And I was like,
really? I love that. I hadn't heard
that. Charlie. So I'm sorry I forgot to tell you, but now
I love that. I love that. Funny. Fantastic. Well, good writing on Allie's part, though, to come up with a character like that and to shape it the way she did and to give him the humor that he had. And, some real dark places, too. It's an interesting, her writing is really very rich. And as you said, there's a lot of comedy in this, but there's a lot of real emotional, deep moments as well.
Yeah, it definitely, it's a movie. It affects you emotionally, but it also makes you think a little bit. Once the movie's over and you're kind of relaxing a little bit, it tends to come back up and you kind of think that stuff through, which is probably part of what attracted you to the project, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it is. Rob found the script and was telling me about it, and I thought it just sounded very, very cool. You'll have to ask Rob about the origin of it, is how he found the material and then started working on it.
Well, we started on it from scratch. Jen and I approached Allie, and I said Allie, maybe that's Freudian.
Yeah, there's a Freudian moment there.
Yeah. So, but we hatched this story from scratch and developed it with Allie.
It was mainly the two. I can't take as much credit as you're giving me. So Allie and Rob.
I'm betting that they needed you, though.
I had to do the intro. How about that? I was the link to Allie.
No, I mean you're short shrifting yourself here, because what happens is you get. I knew that I wanted to do something with more meat on the bones. Nothing against the Christmas movies, but I wanted to do something that was more of a passion project. And most passion projects take, decades.
That's right.
And this came together very fast. It seemed to somehow be in the stars here. And so we kind of hatched this father-daughter story together, Allie and I, and then as we developed it, we would get notes, from Jen and notes from Charles, who's an executive producer on the movie. And it just, sometimes you get so close to something you need, whether it's in the script stage or in the editing stage, you want one of your partners to come in, like Jen and Charlie, to say, well, you know what, have you thought about this? Or what about that? You need that fresh perspective. So this was a complete, team effort, but I mean, I knew I wanted to do a father-daughter story because I am a father, right? But then it was just sort of me and Allie kind of throwing, and I knew that I wanted her to go and seek out some icon, Liza Minnelli or somebody like that. We knew we had those two sort of elements,
and the 2S LGBTQIA element.
Well, yeah, absolutely. That was intentional the whole way, and that's yeah, we just sort of, some projects seem to, have fate or whatever you want to call it going for it, not to, sit there and deliver the platitudes from Christmas movies past, but this one did.
We've had so many Christmas movies that took so much longer to make than this one. This was
really?
1 year from concept to shooting to completion. We were finished within the calendar year of 2022.
Yeah.
Really?
And then we did post-production in 2023. And that's incredibly quick. It was just finding the right investor. We had the right script.
Yeah.
Our miracle investor, Sahar Whalen, she has given me permission to finally let the cat out of the bag. But a great ally of ours, great ally to the LGBTQIA community. And she knew how important it was to get this made.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, one more thing about Sahar, which is everybody in their lives has these people, right, that are just sort of indefatigable, and they're so positive and so, and it doesn't matter what endeavor you're doing. You're making a movie, you're whatever you're doing, just to have one of, she's just one of those bright lights. And, and she's incredibly smart too, but just the positivity, and just at every bump in the road that we had, she's just like, no, well, okay, we'll go this way. We'll do this. And so I gotta give her credit.
And she trusted us.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did. Yes.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah.
No,
whatever we said, like, it may sound crazy, but we feel like could work. Okay, you guys are the experts. Just a
I
very
love that.
Yeah, she would cheer
really
us up sometimes when we'd get bad news.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Anyway.
we're incredible.
Well, you're right. Everybody needs somebody like that in their life.
Yeah.
And usually that person is like, sometimes they'll come around and you're in a really bad mood and you're like, not today. But you need them because they pull you out of the bad mood. But then if you're in a good mood and they come around, it's that much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
You're right.
Yeah.
I have to apologize to you guys real quickly here. My internet is being funny today. So
I thought you were having a stroke. I wasn't sure.
yes. So if there are dropouts here, I apologize.
We'll wait on you. We'll wait.
Blaming it on Spectrum cable.
Well, we've got it used to be Suddenlink, and I've lost the name of the new one, but the internet did not improve with the new group. It shouldn't be that difficult to provide everybody with good internet, but we struggle with it.
What Rob was saying, and what Jim was saying, it is really unusual for a film to come together as quickly as this one did. Yeah. And that's because people saw, the heart of it and the reason that it was a film that needed to be made. And so everybody just jumped on board, and it was amazingly harmonious. There wasn't I didn't notice any conflict or stress or disagreements, really. Everybody just jumped in and did their best. Yeah.
We really tried to, do our best to make it a very inclusive set. And, what Olivia Wilde said, that her no assholes policy, it was, if you have a problem,
it's a good policy. Just
good policy in general.
Amazing. And it tends to work, you weed out a few assholes and you're good to go. So no, we were really lucky. Everybody was working towards, like Charles said, a common goal, and everybody said how special it was because of, processing things that they had gone through. We had a largely queer crew. So some of the things were difficult for people to watch being reenacted. And when another crew member pointed that out to me, I mentioned it to another producer, and she said, well, I'll get some trauma resources. We can just put them up discreetly, around the area.
That's something you'd never think about ahead of time, I don't think, because of course it's going to affect people that have had similar situations or know somebody that had whatever. They're working on set and watching it. I could see that. That's you wouldn't think about that ahead of time, but that's great that you did that.
Well, and it costs nothing. You know, that so many people talk about, oh, we can't do that. We don't have the budget. We don't have the budget. But doing things like putting people's pronouns on the call sheet, if they were wanting it done, costs nothing. And people still said, oh, we don't have to go that far. Well, yeah, we do, because that made the set feel more inclusive, in my opinion. So I feel that's why people were able to come to us and say, oh, this might be a little triggering. So we could, have Ashley get those things. It was a great learning experience for me, and I'll do it on every single movie that I get to work on.
And the one thing I want to add, which is oftentimes you find the making of the movie becomes the actual story of the movie.
Yeah.
It becomes so reflexive.
They parallel. This happens in so many films.
Yeah. And this one, like, I mean, I've said it at festivals and stuff, you know, I'm 51 years old, and an old dog can learn a new trick. And, you know, just because I always thought, oh, well, of course I'm an ally, you know, these are my, but you learn how to communicate, you learn how to listen better, you know, and I just, it was really cool, you know, that the movie about an allegorical bridge of allyship that maybe the audience can follow was exactly what was sort of happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, I love that. Was it a help? You know, you've got a pretty accomplished director working as an actor on the film. Was that a help, or was that something you guys had to work out? Or Charles, did you just say, okay, I'm an actor, I'm not offering?
No, I want to hear Rob's answer to that.
I don't, you know what? Charlie is so supportive of me.
Yeah,
I didn't feel ever for a minute pressure or judgment or anything. It was you know, the people that you hold dear, you know, in your life, whether it's in front of the camera, behind the camera, or just in your private life, you want people that empower you, support you, liberate you, and make you feel good and secure. And that's how I feel with Charlie, you know, whether it's working in a professional atmosphere or just in our personal friendship, that's how he makes me feel, which is great. And then I, in turn, I look at that as my job as a director, to try to empower and liberate people so they all feel safe. I mean, in the end, it's play. You know, what we're doing is we're playing to some degree.
Yeah.
And so you want people to feel free to do that and feel safe. It doesn't matter. You may, I mean, it's in the movie. You'll make mistakes. You may fuck up or whatever. And, you know, I think there's times where I've even said to Charlie, yeah, I fucked that up. But, you know, it doesn't matter because we're all in it together. And it's such a loving, supportive sort of group. Yeah, that's how I feel with Charlie. And Charlie put a lot of work into the script ahead of time. So it wasn't like I had this actor director coming in that I didn't know. You know, we were very much in sync, you know, prior to making the movie, I would say.
I mean, if it were me, and I could not do what any of you do, but if I was in that position, I think I'd like having someone there just in case. If I had maybe bounce ideas off of him, that type of thing.
100%. I think it did. It's a little bit of security, knowing he's in your corner, you know?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I'll say another thing, that acting and directing are two different parts of your brain. And to really concentrate as an actor and to be focused on the character and what you're doing and how you're going to do it, it's very hard to direct. I know there are some actors who have directed a lot of their own films.
Yeah.
But boy, it's hard. And I think all of them have had somebody with them that's very trusted, that's kind of that other ear, you know, or whatever, can be in their ear and help. So with Rob, I was just happy to be the actor and to let him direct, because I can't watch myself. So there's Rob doing it. And also, there's only one person, I've always said, on every film that's got the entire movie in their head, the whole movie in their head, and that's the director. And that person is the one you got to listen to. And when so that was a real pleasure for me, especially knowing Rob as well as I do, and having worked on the script with him for all that time. We were absolutely on the same page, you know.
So Jennifer, are they telling the truth?
You know, it was such a good question, because as you phrased it, I would have been the opposite of you. I would have been a little intimidated.
Yeah, I can see that.
My friend.
Yeah.
I would have, because I respect Charlie so much. And, you know, I know Charles through Rob. So I don't know. I would have been a little more intimidated directing Charles. But you two had no problem. Like, I never once, and not once did you be like, oh, Charlie's telling me I got to shoot it this way or something. Like, it was never that. It was never Charles going, what do you mean?
But when you're working with, you know, a best friend, you know, kind of scenario, there's nothing you can say that would be, you know what I mean? Everything is fair game. Everything's in bounds. You know, it's not like we have egos. We'll say anything to each other anyway. So
Yeah.
so it was kind of, honestly, it was ideal. It actually made it.
It actually was. It was ideal. And the other thing is, Rob has directed a lot of stuff by now,
Sure.
and so he was. And I don't think, especially because we had such a short schedule, but I don't think I've ever seen a director more prepared than Rob.
Or work harder. Oh, he froze, but let him talk. Yeah,
I was like, he put everything into that statement. That's all he could give.
Made it.
Yeah.
Oh, here he comes.
Here he comes.
He's trying anyway.
Really hard.
He'll be back. So
No, I know what Charles is talking about, because Rob was literally at one point like running around moving big trucks because he had to get them out of our shot because we only had 20 more minutes and we couldn't find a transport guy because we had very few of them on a small budget. So yeah, there'd be Rob out there in the cab driving it off. And so I wholeheartedly agree with what Charlie said. I've never seen a director work that hard or know it that well.
Yeah, know the material that well. And, necessity is the mother of invention. We had to shoot in such a short schedule. If Rob wasn't prepared, we would never have made it. So, and he knew that.
Or moving trucks.
Or moving trucks, or the whole 9 yards. And Jen too, she was rolling up her sleeves and right in there. It was a real strong community effort. And it all comes from the heart of the material on the piece.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Jen, producer on a smaller budget film can mean a lot different things than, say, a big budget film, where maybe producer, you might just be given some money, or it may just be a title. But on a smaller budget film,
that was not the case here.
Yeah, you tend to wear a lot of hats. Yeah, I know you put in the work because I know you're probably handling all the detail stuff.
Or on the case of independent films, you'll be like cleaning the clogged toilet if the case may be. You do what you have to do.
Were you the wrangler? Like when it was time to do something, were you the one that had to pull everybody to get them to where they needed to be, or did you have somebody else for that?
What's so interesting is I just learned mostly on other people's sets. I learned so much about what I wanted to copy and what I wanted to never, ever do. And being on a lot of Rob sets as an actor, I learned a lot about being really efficient and, knowing how to trust people. And when I directed my first movie of the week, a Christmas movie, I learned that you just have to trust that these people are geniuses at what they do. And Charles, I think this is maybe advice that's trickled from you to Rob, now down to me, baby director. And but just trust that you've got the best people around you. So let them do that. Don't let your ego take over and say, I need to tell you what's to do here. I'm going to look and say,
yeah, I love that. Trust your people.
Yeah. That's their,
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty great. So Robert, you've been directing for a while yourself and have done that for a while. Was this movie, did it provide or give you any challenges that you hadn't faced before? Was there anything surprising about it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I the material was so much deeper and more sophisticated and complex than anything I'd done. So that was great. And I love actors. Actors to me, between action and cut, you can have lots of visual effects and special effects and stuff, but what an actor does between action and cut, and even in those moments when they're just reacting to the other actor in between the lines, that blind stitch stuff that an actor does, it's magic. But I would say the technical challenge of this movie was the road trip itself. Because we shot this in 12 days with 1 day of second unit. Now, if you were to go out with a hearse for all those dialogue scenes and put camera mounts on the car, you'd be, is it stable enough? Has the sun moved in the sky? So now it doesn't match, So we shot all the interior hearse stuff driving on one of those volume walls. Which is basically a giant LED wall on all sides, right? And there's even a panel above it. And we put driving plates on them, you know, that were pre-shot, and we put the hearse on these things called go jacks so we could spin it around.
Yeah.
But there's no way on that budget in 12-day schedule you could have ever accomplished that much driving material. So so we basically shot all the dialogue stuff in a studio. It's the volume wall is kind of, it was started with like shows like The Mandalorian, right?
Right.
Where they have these giant LED sets, and we used it for driving. And then a day after one day we'd wrapped the movie, the 12 days, the main unit. We edited it together. We saw what we needed, and then we went out and shot pass-bys with the hearse, you know, as second unit. But the driving challenge, it never would have been feasible if we were not in that studio for 2 days.
Yeah, that's a pretty good story, because you wouldn't think that like, I wouldn't have thought any of that through, which amazes me that you can come up with solutions like that kind of on the fly. So that's impressive. That's impressive.
Well, and also you can then put more reflections on the windshields and stuff in visual effects, right? Like afterwards, right? Just, but yeah, there'd just be no way to make a road trip movie in that amount of time, you know, in budget without.
12 days is quick.
Yeah,
it's very quick.
Yeah, it's fast. I mean,
not recommended.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, just going through life, 12 days flies by.
Yeah, don't do it. If you don't have to, don't do it. But we had to. That was the budget we had, and we were grateful to have it, so we made it work. But yeah, don't try to. I think collectively we've lost close to a decade of our lives.
No, not maybe 9 years.
Okay, close that's close to a decade.
Well, you know what? That volume wall too enabled us. It's on the poster back here to get that fireworks shot.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
Because
that's a nice shot.
We put the actress on a treadmill, and she's walking, and then we have the fireworks, and then this visual effects have built the hallway of that place with the glass, and so it looks the same. And she's walking by it. And there's no way you could have gotten that shot, you know. I mean,
I never would have thought of that, but yeah, that'd be a tough shot.
Yeah.
I suppose if you were doing it 5 or 10 years ago, it would be a green screen, and you'd be shooting somebody in front of a green, and then in post-production, you'd have to put in the fireworks or.
Well, right, and it always looks like a green screen.
It always looks like a green screen. It's very expensive and very time-consuming. So this volume wall thing is a terrific invention.
Yeah, that's awesome. One of the things I loved about the movie was I thought the casting was so good. Even the smaller roles, really good actors.
Yeah, Rob did a great job.
Thank you. And I shouldn't say thank you, because it was Rob who was the final say on casting everyone. But what I wanted to say was that we made sure that we tried to cast all of the queer roles with queer actors, and actors who were happy to be out. You know, we didn't want to out anyone on our own, but we did ask our casting director, who was a lovely woman named Larissa Mayer, that we wanted to prioritize queer actors for the queer roles, because, you know, we did a lot of work on how to better be allies in the business place. And one of them is to, you know, hire queer people as often as possible, and especially in queer roles. And everybody except one, we were able to do that with. So you see, like, it is possible. It makes life more difficult. God bless Larissa. She probably was, you know, at her wit's end, but she found all those people for us. Well, and we never had to compromise.
And there were some actors in straight roles that were, you know what
I mean?
That's
true, yeah.
So no, it was, we wanted to cast it and crew it as authentically as we could. And I think we were pretty successful in that.
No, I think you did a great job. Yeah, it's so good. I told you I'm an emotional guy, but I teared up several times during the film. And
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah, it's my wife gets tired of me being so emotional. But what do you do?
No, it's better. It's better. You won't get cancer because you'll let it out.
But you're a father too, right?
Oh yeah.
And it just gets to you as a dad.
Well, that was what it was doing. You know, it was hitting me as a dad, and I was feeling so much for the characters in the movie. I thought it was great. I finally just told her, I was like, stop looking at me, watch the movie. There's nothing to see here. You know, I wanted to do that kind of one manly tear type of thing, but it didn't work.
You're not alone. Even there's a lot of people that have said, I'm not a crier, and I was crying my head off. So you're not alone.
It's cathartic. I mean, you feel better after.
I'm a big crier. I'm a big emotional person.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah, it's going to come out some way.
I'm all for it. Yeah. And I actually like it when the people come up to me with this smeared, tear stained eyes. Oh, great. It works.
Has the response of those that have got to see it, has it been pretty positive so far?
It really has.
Yeah.
I mean, the best part to me has been how people almost always come back with a story, just like you're saying of being a father.
Yeah.
There's always somebody who comes up to each of us at each of the screenings, and everybody's got a story about someone that they relate to, and they want to tell this story. And I think that's because of how, Grace and Red finally open up to each other. And it's such a beautiful thing when they do that it makes other people want to do that. So
and there's a lot packed into it, which, in my opinion, is by design. We were kind of doing a little bit of, there's the alcoholism, right? There's the closeted teen. There's a lot to unwrap here and unbox sort of in this sort of Wizard of Oz type story, which was sort of intentional, right? That they go off, on this road trip and they meet the guy with no heart and no brain, and and what you were looking for was at home the entire time, and also with the Liza Minnelli connection to it and the Judy Garland thing, that was all sort of intentional. But there's a lot of people, there's lots of things that people can see themselves in, or see a parent, or see a child, and it's very universal, and I think that was intentional on all of our behalf.
Yeah. I thought it was so well done, and I see Charles froze up again, but I was going to say he had lost a step. He's so good as an actor.
Oh
yeah,
that's exactly why the drag queens were all like, he's our dad, because that Red is our dad. Most people say that the Red's their favorite character, and that was not something we really anticipated going into this. We were like, wow.
Well, it's interesting because I always tell Charlie he's got built-in likability. There's kind of what you get for free, and then a lot of that he's working sort of against type in this role.
Yeah.
But just that sort of built-in likability, I tell him it's the same thing that Tom Hanks has, in a sense that, but yeah, it was so great. And it was, I love watching Charlie, even in the hard times, the sort of break between him and Grace. And just, I shouldn't get through this podcast without mentioning Anwen O'Driscoll,
right,
who played Grace, who's just astonishing. She's like a young Jodie Foster. And watching her, Charlie's a seasoned veteran, this incredible actor. And then to watch somebody with not that much experience come in and play tennis with him, where she elevates him and he elevates her, it's incredible.
She is really remarkably talented and good. I mean, she's been studying and she knows what she's doing as an actor. For somebody so young, she's really
impressive.
Yep, she's great. She is terrific. Plus, she's hilarious. She didn't get a chance to be as funny in this as she is, but she would crack me up all the time when we're trying to work. You take one look at her and you say, oh, it's a serious scene. Anwen's making me laugh again.
Yeah.
But when you told me, Charlie, that one scene where you kind of lost yourself in, not you didn't lose your place, but it's like you kind of got through it because you and Anwen were both so in it that by the end of it, it was like, where am I?
Yeah. Wow.
That's amazing.
What happened? What just happened? Was that any good? Are we done?
Well, watching it at times, you'd forget you were watching a movie and it just felt like you were like somewhere and two people were having a conversation.
That's great.
I'd catch myself. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm sitting on my couch.
Yeah, that's great to be able to bring you into the lives of these people and for me too, as an actor, it was really immersive that way. And back to why I was so happy that Rob is such an attentive director and he's right there, because I trust him completely and I could just.
Well, we've lost him again.
say I could just take what Rob said with a grain of salt and go to Jen for some real direction, right?
That's right.
Right. Probably
Right.
not. No, there he is. Okay. He'll tell you.
Yeah, I really have to apologize. This is not good.
Well, shoot, one of the great things about Zoom and about podcasts is that the people that listen and watch, they know. They know how fickle the stuff is. It don't bother anybody.
Plus, we're little, right? So
no big deal.
If you're frozen, they'll think you're there.
Yeah, they'll think you're there. Just when you're not frozen, just stay still.
Yeah, that's right. I think
they're going to go, Charles Martin Smith is so aloof.
I'm a very, very still person.
Yeah. When can we see this movie and where can we see it?
Well, so we're still waiting on, a number of festivals.
That's fun though. The festival stuff's kind of fun.
It is fun. It is fun. And it's fun to see your work with an audience and hear the laughs and hear the cries. And, it's really rewarding. But we're working on sort of a plan that's like a 50-state sort of thing of screenings on one day with like sort of a nuclear bomb of publicity.
I like that.
Because the hope is that then that gets us to the platform release, because you don't make a movie to sell it to some niche vertical on Amazon. You make a movie for an audience. You want to get it out there and you want to see it, but it's a very sort of interesting time, and there's openings in the theatrical distribution world, but you need to kind of see if you can create a bit of a groundswell and buzz with who you think your base audience might be, right?
Right.
So that's because they become the evangelists, in air quotes, for your film. And so that's what we're working on. This is, and I believe we're going to get there. But yeah, so we'll just follow us on our Instagram, which Jen can provide. And we'll keep everybody posted. But, within the year, the hope is to be in this sort of platform 15, 20 city theatrical release. Because even the costs of like prints and advertising and stuff, it's not what it used to be. And even marketing is not what it used to be. It's becoming more democratic. And I know it's Taylor Swift, but, she bypassed the studios.
Right.
And basically distributed it directly, and maybe she had a booker, but I mean, we're learning very quickly about all of that stuff and sort of strategizing. So we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, that's exciting. So yeah, thank you all so much for taking a little bit of time with us. The movie's terrific. My wife and I absolutely loved it. It's I can't wait for other people to see it so I can really talk about it. But it's so good. So yeah, Jen, you could go through your social media for the movie. Let's start there.
Yeah, please. On Instagram and TikTok, we're at This Time Film, and on Facebook and YouTube, we're at ThisTime_film.
Yep.
And we also have a website, www.thistimefilm.ca. So those are where you'll find us these days.
Yeah.
And we're open to doing private screenings as well for the LGBTQ plus community and its allies, because the main thing that we want to do with the movie is promote the sense of allyship that's necessary in the world right now, and allyship to everyone. So we have been doing some free screenings for LGBTQ plus groups. So that's another way to see it.
And Jen has, she says it and it's quite brilliant. Just one person can make a difference.
I like that. Yeah.
True. Technically, it's stolen from the Trevor Project. The Trevor Project is an amazing organization that gave me the statistic that having one supportive person in a queer person's life, having one supportive adult in a queer kid's life, can make them 40% less susceptible to suicide.
Well, and the rates are, I mean, as we have stated, is, every 45 seconds, and this is a stat from the Trevor Project, who's, like Jen says, an amazing organization, every 45 seconds, an LGBTQ youth attempts suicide.
Awesome.
And we can do better as a society, as a country, as a world. we can be better and we can learn how to do that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. I think it's a terrific movie. It's got a great message, and I know you're using it for positive things, and that's terrific. You have to come back after it gets all the way out there and everybody can see it. You have to come back and talk about it so we can
And then
really
we'll give spoilers. Can I take a quick picture, guys?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you, Michael. So nice
Thank
to
you
talk
so
with
much.
you. Nice to meet you.
Oh yeah, it's been terrific. I was looking forward to this one. You know, you were our Saturday night movie watching, so you were our movie of the week. Let's say it was pretty good. We had a pretty good night.
We take it with pride. Take it with pride.
We did our little meat and cheese tray. Had a little. We had prosecco and red wine because I don't drink red wine, so I drink prosecco. But it was pretty good.
You're very fancy.
That's what I said. I was like, we're fancy.
So fancy. So fancy.
Well, thank you guys so much. And please do come back. Let's do it again at some point.
Yeah, would love to.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But next time we'll have prosecco and meat trays in front of us.
Oh, done.
Exactly.
And we'll get Charles at our place. Charles will arrange for you to be up in Toronto, and we got
That
better.
would be perfect. Then I
It
don't
would
have
be
to-
kind of fun to see the three of you sitting side by side on the same little
Oh
box.
well, you
These
wouldn't get a word
two.
in edgewise. Yeah.
You and I can maybe have a conversation. These two will just go about politics.
You know, Charlie and I have to be separate at all times, so because if something happens to one of us,
That's right. That's
I
how it is.
understand. I know how I am with my good friends, so I get it.
Yeah.
You get together and you tend to forget anybody else is there.
Yeah, I think you guys got to do.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
In
I
a,
get it.
way, in a good way.
In a good way. Okay, hold on 1 second. Well, that was just terrific. I've been a fan of Charles for most of my life. So Charles Martin Smith, he such a good actor and just an amazing director. I always thought he had just a very recognizable face. Anytime he would pop up, loved him in the Untouchables, one of my favorite movies. Played Oscar Wallace, just terrific. He was in Starman. He did American Graffiti as Terry. He showed up on a lot of shows that I loved: Psych, Fringe, X-Files, Picket Fences, even the Brady Bunch. He did an episode of. And just to give you an idea of how long he's been doing this, he played Teddy Roosevelt on an episode of Grizzly Adams. It's just amazing. That's just amazing. And then as a director, he did Air Bud, he did Trick or Treat, he did the first, the pilot episode, Welcome to Hellmouth for Buffy. I'm a big Buffy fan. He directed a lot of Space Above and Beyond, which is one of my favorite sci-fi shows that ended way too soon. Just terrific. Jennifer has worked on a lot of sci-fi shows that I love. She's also in Suits, but she did Warehouse 13, Hemlock Grove, Nikita, 4400. I thought she was terrific in. And then I'm a big fan of Robert and his directing. I think he's really talented, does such a good job. There's a reason that while I was watching this movie, I was losing track that it was a movie. And I was just so invested. It just felt like I was in the scene with them. A lot of that's directing. I mean, of course, you got to have terrific actors, but a lot of that's directing. And he does a really, really good job with that. So thank you guys for tuning in with us again this week. So happy that you're here. If you're finding us for the first time, if you're a watcher, our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Please subscribe. That helps us so much. If you're a listener, wherever you listen to your podcast at, just subscribe there. Really helps us out. Our website's meistercon.com. You can see all 740 or so episodes, audio and video versions on our website. It'll also let you know anything that we've got going on, meistercon.com. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm once again here to ask for your support. It's been a big year for the Too Opinionated podcast. Back in February, we got to live out a dream, moderate for William Shatner here in our hometown. In May, we passed 100,000 downloads on our YouTube channel.
And we followed that up in June with 50,000 downloads on the audio side. We recently posted our 600th episode, which is pretty good volume for just a father and son operation. Not too many podcasts can keep that volume up. We've been doing this now for 4.5 years, 600 plus episodes. We recently hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, which is a really big deal for us because we've always gotten the views, but have struggled to get people to subscribe. So that 1,000 was a big deal for us. And best of all, we were recently named one of the top podcasts on IMDb, which is the entertainment database. Those that are ahead of us, we came in at number 82. Those that are ahead of us are bigger companies like Disney, mostly Marvel, and Joe Rogan, that type of podcast. So for us, being just a small West Virginia father and son podcast, to be in the top 100 out of 15 million, it's a pretty big deal for us. So thank you for everything you've done for us so far. Got a couple little ways, though, that you can help us, and they're free, and they're really easy. If you haven't checked out our YouTube channel yet, please go to YouTube. It's under MeisterCon Pod. Just hit subscribe. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Really helps us a ton. And maybe even more important, if you could go to imdb.com, look up the Too Opinionated podcast, and just look around the page. Just having that traffic on the page really helps us out. So that's a couple of easy ways that you can support us, even if you're not listening or watching all of the time. And we want you to listen and watch, because I think that our guest list, I would put up against anybody, any other show, podcast, anybody out there. I think our guest list holds up. So please check us out. You probably will find somebody that you like, or maybe somebody that you didn't know you liked, but kind of discovered them on there. There's tons of that. If you're into music, we have that too. If you like books, we've got authors on there. If you're more into what goes on behind the scenes in the entertainment world, we've got producers, directors, video artists, anything you can think of that happens behind the scenes, we've had them on the show. So definitely check us out. Thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye, everybody.